Hey, what's up, guys? We are on part 3, the final part of this United 24 banger that we've been watching. If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, go back and watch it. It was very cool. First video was Azov, I believe. Second video was 3rd Assault Brigade, and I believe this next one, I don't know who this is. We'll see. But it's very, very cool. It's like top combat footage during the Ukrainian conflict. So, real quick, I want to introduce myself. My name is Saxon. I go by Vegas here in Ukraine. We do have a lot of new people coming to the channel, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and do all that. The main goal of this channel is to blow it up so more people see it, so the people who are traveling to Ukraine to fight can join a solid unit and not go to a unit where they may expire in a week or a month. Okay, that's the entire purpose of this channel. It was before I was with Azov, and now I'm with Azov, and I've been in this brigade, and I've fought in this brigade, and I know it's solid, so I can recommend specifically Azov if you are coming here. I'll leave the link in the description below. It's right here. Also, let me show you what it looks like. So this is my referral link, right? So when you click the link in the description, it'll take you to this page. And this will show the recruiters that you know who I am. And it's really simple. Name, last name, number, email, date of birth, citizenship, and then any comments you want to leave. It's really that simple. So you fill this out, and then literally within an hour, or I mean, I won't say that because sometimes they get pretty busy, but the recruiters will contact you very quickly, set up an interview, and then it's game time. So the application, or this form, is in the description below. Click on it if you are on your way out to Ukraine or considering coming out. If you know someone out here, something like that. Don't let them go to a unit where they're not going to have the best chances of survival. Okay, let's jump into it.
Кто в доме? Выходите на улицу, прекрати иди. Если никто не выйдет, мы начнем штурмовать дом.
Trained enemy reconnaissance men are effectively operating in the Pokrovsk direction, collecting valuable information about the Ukrainian armed forces' logistics. They also direct artillery and drones at important targets of the Ukrainian defenders. That is why the fighters of the Rubish Brigade were tasked with finding and eliminating such saboteurs.
Rubish Brigade. I'm not familiar with them, but they've got this, their chevron down here, that battle axe. That's pretty cool. Real quick, he made a comment here that I wanted to touch on because we saw a lot of this when I was deployed as well recently. What the Russians will do is, he said they have enemy reconnaissance soldiers, which is true in the sense that they are reconnaissance, but not in the sense that we know recce soldiers as. We know reconnaissance soldiers as basically special ops. So they are, you have the tip of your spear, they are the sharp, pointy part, right, usually. Here, it just means they're in enemy territory and can report back what they find. So what they'll do is they'll just meat wave 3 or 4 Russians into Ukrainian lines. 3 of them will get schwacked. 1 of them will make it through and embed himself in one of these houses or something, and basically just try to survive and radio to his commanders what's going on. Like, hey, I hear a vehicle pulling up at 7 p.m. every night. Hey, I hear troop movements to the east at 5 p.m. every night. So that's their reconnaissance, but we see a lot of this. And so what ends up happening is the Ukrainians go on these hunting missions. They'll take 2 or 3 Ukrainian soldiers or foreigners, if you're in a foreigner battalion like mine, and they'll hunt these reconnaissance troops.
Ukrainian soldiers have to carefully inspect every house and every room where a Russian soldier could be hiding.
Покажите. Кто-то есть еще в доме? Нема никого.
In some places, fighters encounter civilians. They check their documents and briefly interrogate them.
Почему не уезжаете? С какой целью? А? С какой целью вам быть здесь? Они приедут, заберут. Где фотография? Сейчас. Вы знаете, что где-то здесь шкерится противник?
The civilian is asked about a Russian soldier reportedly hiding nearby.
Не слышали? Увидели кого-то?
Нет, это я вот
об этом видел их последний раз? Скажи. Ну, в убежище.
However, he knows nothing and last saw the Russians near the bomb shelter about 4 days ago.
Было двое.
Последний раз когда?
Когда это было? Это дня 4 назад. А где можете?
We watched this a few videos back. We saw this. Looks like there's a little bit different parts edited in, maybe, but we saw this here.
Вот прямо идете, как раз...
Ага.
Там
Подвал, да, какой-то?
Да, да.
И в гости не заходили?
Не. Понял.
Сколько здесь гражданских живет на улице, не знаешь?
8 человек.
The man says that there are still 8 people of different ages living on the street.
Старые.
Молодые есть?
Молодые.
A group of soldiers checked the basement that the civilian had mentioned, but found no one there. Soon after, however, they encountered the enemy.
Что говоришь? Руки, с***а! Руки, чтоб я видел, нахуй! Руки подними, блядь!
The Ukrainian military offered him a chance to surrender, and the Russian apparently agreed. The soldier ordered him to raise his hands and walk forward. But immediately, shots and explosions erupted.
Let's be clear about this, because that's not very clear. Hold on.
Гранат. Прикинул.
Okay, in the full footage, the Ukrainians find this dude in a cellar. They tell him, "Hey, come out, surrender." And the guy is acting like he's surrendering with his hands up. He comes up and he throws a grenade at him and runs. So that's why they started opening fire. They weren't shooting at a surrendering soldier.
Выходи, сука! Жить будешь, блядь!
The Ukrainian soldier again urges the Russian to surrender,
Sorry, he threw the grenade and went back in.
Выходи, слово даю, что стрелять не будем!
telling him it's his only chance to survive.
Иди! На иди! На ты стреляешь, ты? Ну, сука! Руки подними, блядь!
He is told to raise his hands, but the Russian seems reluctant to obey the orders.
Сюда иди, кто ты пошел? На голос, сука!
The Russian is told to follow the voice, but then he disappears.
This is when he runs.
Ты видишь его?
It seems that the occupier decided to try his luck.
Где он? Где он?
So he threw another grenade right there, the Russian, when this Ukrainian fighter just laid down. That's interesting. I mean, this guy he doesn't know exactly how many enemy. The Russian guy does not know exactly how many Ukrainians are hunting him right now, and this dude is fighting.
Давай.
Ukrainian soldiers fire toward partially destroyed buildings where a Russian soldier could be hiding.
Еще один закинул.
Давай. Дом?
Дом. Въедьте с одноразким.
Давай. Разочек хотя бы, блядь.
Heavier weapons are already being prepared for use.
Пострел.
Shot. It is followed by machine gun fire. At that moment, the Ukrainian soldiers heard the sound of a drone nearby and quickly took cover.
This is the reality of being any kind of an infantry element in this conflict, is doing this, stopping what you're doing every 5, 10, 15 minutes, if you're lucky, and hiding from the drones.
The fighters notice fresh blood traces left by the Russian soldier. They advance quietly, avoiding unnecessary sound. They hear someone walking nearby.
Малый, возьми.
And here is the visual contact.
Будет.
Russian soldier also notices the Ukrainian group and opens fire first. The Ukrainians immediately return fire.
Да не скули ты, сдаваться надо было, сука! Скулишь, гад, блядь. Хуй ты отстреливалась. Дичь, Все, хорош.
The Russian was quickly eliminated. Mission accomplished.
Absolutely smoked his ass, dude. When we first watched this one, I remember thinking how crazy it was because you actually get a visual on this guy. Oftentimes on these body cam footage or these helmet cams and shit, they're just firing in a general direction. In a gunfight, you know, can be far away. You don't always see the enemy. This one, you saw him. So, and then those guys just annihilated him. And I have zero sympathy for this dude. Like they were saying, they gave him 2 different chances to surrender, and both times he shot at the Ukrainians and threw grenades at them. Hey, man, you signed your own death warrant at that point.
Let's switch to one of the units of the Special Operations Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The fighters were conducting a special reconnaissance mission along the border when they noticed enemy movement. They quickly assessed the tactical situation and carried out a successful raid. As a result, the Ukrainian military eliminated 4 Russian soldiers.
Рук на 12. Мінус лежить. Тут ще один в кущах є. Що?
Okay, these dudes,
Що?
the leaf suit boys, dude, these guys are top tier right here, straight up. These, I mean, it depends on what kind they have, but these are almost mandatory for any sort of a recon team, a forward combat element, because it helps obviously camouflage you from any ground threats, but also, most importantly, in my opinion, from the drones above. And what they're doing oftentimes with these like half ghillies, these half leaf suits, is they're also thermal lined, so they reduce your heat signature from the thermal drones above you, which is 70% of the time how drones end up spotting people, daytime or nighttime. Your heat signature is so bright. And it's just easy. It's so much easier to see a thermal signature in under a bunch of trees, like a tree canopy, rather than just like trying to spot with the naked eye a soldier wearing OD green in a tree line. These guys, you can tell obviously by their leaf suits, but also their weapons, their suppressors. These guys are the real deal. The way they're moving.
They also found one Russian still alive hiding under a tree.
Каску снимай, сука. Поднялся. Лицом ко мне. Лицом ко мне, сучара. Снимай.
The SOF fighters took his walkie-talkie away and conducted a quick interrogation.
Ложись ебалом туда. Сколько людей здесь?
Сколько людей?
Сколько людей, сука, здесь?
Сейчас скажу, 6. Нас было 6, группа 6 человек зашла.
The Russians said that there were 6 people in the group. They had entered this sector just half an hour ago.
Сколько 200? Сколько 200?
200 вот один.
Остальные
Cargo 200 is KIA. Cargo 200 is KIA. Cargo 300 is wounded in action. And then there's 350. There's even a 450, which mean different things. What was I going to say? I don't remember.
По периметру.
позывные.
Oh, I was going to say, you could tell by just the tone and the pace that this special forces soldier's talking to the Russian, that this dude is experienced. He deals with prisoners of war often. He takes a lot of captives. The way he said, "Fate, like, you know, get up, asshole, let's go." Like, just like that. After smoking two of his buddies, you know, somebody who is not as experienced would be. Oftentimes their adrenaline's fucking pumping. They're like, "Get the fuck on the ground!" Or they're screaming and.
Пацаны, иди на нахуй собираем. Поднимайся.
Once the interrogation was over, the Ukrainian soldiers tied up the prisoner's hands and took him to their position.
Можно сигарету взять?
Шо нахуй?
We ran into a couple of POWs like this, prisoners, when we were on the front. And what I figured out that they do, and some people may know this already, but when like a forward element like this Ukrainian unit right here captures one of the enemy, they will take them back to their position, where another group of people will go retrieve him and take him back to their position. He'll stay at that position until another group retrieves him, takes him to that position, and they daisy chain him back to basically all the way back to where a vehicle can go pick him up, because there's no vehicles anywhere near the AOs anymore because of drones, FPVs, Baba Yaga, stuff like that. So everything's on foot. They can't just pull up in a Humvee and pick this dude up, right? So they daisy chain and walk his ass all the way back, and it could take a week sometimes longer. One of the guys we ran into, he had been in the basement for 3 days, I think, and he was probably about halfway back to our lines where he would eventually get picked up. So interesting.
Блядь, дураки мы нахуй, ну да не дураки. Блядь, здравствуйте, народу.
Ебало.
When asked what was he fighting for, the Russian replied that they were fools for fighting Ukrainians, whom they once considered a brother nation. We wonder what he was thinking before deciding to go kill his so-called brothers. In any case, one more prisoner to be exchanged.
Блядь. Порядок, блядь, сейчас утра.
Что сказать?
Вечер в хату, господарь сам.
Вечер в хату, господарь сам.
Having reached Ukrainian positions, the Russian soldier was told to take shelter in a dugout with other captives.
Магазин там. Опусти. А сколько мне лет? 21. А пошел я в армию 19. Знаешь почему? Потому что вы пришли к нам.
Это понятно.
Это понятно. А почему вы пришли? Ты скотч взял?
Get you a good pair of trauma shears. That's what he's using right here to cut these clothing. You could tell these are a cheaper version. Get a good pair, dude, because that's one of the tools, not only as a medic, but as a soldier, that could potentially save someone's life. Because the faster that you can expose a wound and get direct pressure on it, or pack it, or tourniquet it, the more of a chance that casualty has to survive, right? If you're sitting there fucking around with these cheap ass pair of scissors and this dude's just bleeding, ideally, you know, as far as the march protocol goes, the combat medical acronym march, if they're bleeding that bad and it's on an extremity, you would have already put a tourniquet on it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to expose that shit quickly because they could have multiple wounds. There's all kinds of reasons, and a good pair of trauma shears is crucial. But they do end up going missing often because everybody wants some.
The Russian was wounded, so he was provided with first aid. Another reminder that even in war, Ukrainians remain human.
Ну, есть. Кое-что ему поможет это место. О, я нихуя себе. Да, мы сейчас себя поликуемся. У меня еще один есть, дружище. Мы спасаем тебе жизнь. Только дыши, не умирай.
The Ukrainian troops also intercepted enemy radio communications. The Russians were trying to find out what had happened to the rest of their unit and why no one was responding. Soon enough, they learned why.
Это не хотят, видимо, вот так из-под пинка пару раз вышли на связь при мне уже.
The Ukrainian soldiers continue to heroically defend their homeland. Every mission is intense and dangerous, with lives constantly at risk. Nevertheless, they keep moving forward for the sake of victory. Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Damn right. Yeah, you guys check out United 24. I'll link them in the title of my video, but also, that's a sweet knife, dude. I'll link them in the title of my video, but also in the description. And my referral application link. So the Azov International Battalion application link will be in the description below as well, if you have been considering coming out here. A couple things real quick. This was one of the coolest videos that we've seen. We saw different perspectives, all from extremely active and effective combat forces and very like forwardmost groups, right? Like the assault teams, the recon teams. This was obviously a recon team. The Azov team we saw were recon, and the 3AB team we saw was just an assault team. These guys are absolute heroes, dude, in my eyes. Like I said, I've been in the position of these guys before, and it is an awful feeling. It is there's this misconception that being an assaulter is, it's amazing, it's so cool. In the off chance that you get to sneak up on the enemy, or even if you don't sneak up and you just get to have a firefight with the enemy, cool. That's probably the best your job will ever be right there. The other 99% of the time, you're just getting shelled, you're running from FPVs, you're diving into trenches, you're running away from things and people. So it's different than the movies or even the video show. But anyways, I'll shut up. Please like, share, subscribe. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.